Well, welcome back, everybody. Thank you for joining me today on Political Talk with Charlotte. Currently, now, the Charlotte Bergmann Show, just so you won't be confused. This show it's about taking a deep dive in the life of our belated Dolly Parton. I grew up hearing about Dolly Parton. I never met her. I actually remember the show 9 to 5. I thought that was hilarious. And she played a B role in that show, but it was entertaining nonetheless. Now, I've seen a lot of people make comments about Dolly Parton, and I wanted to discuss an aspect of her life. But before we get started talking about Dolly, please leave your likes and your comments and your emojis so that I can know you're there. I look at the stats on my shows and I do appreciate all of you who actually go to my show. Last week, we received almost 700 views on that show. That to me was impressive, especially considering that was the first week back. So thank you for joining Political Talk of Charlotte. I am your host, Charlotte Bergmann. I am a conservative voice for Christian and constitutional values. Those are issues and values that lead my decisions in terms of how I think, what I respond to, and it also impacts how I interact with you. And based upon a number of the comments, the majority of the comments, I think we are in a good space. And we do have some dissenters, but that's what's so great about America. You can agree to disagree, and I respect you. Okay, so our show airs every Thursday. Before I get started, I just want to kind of remind you of what happened to me on last Saturday. I went to worship and I got out of church at about, I'd say, around 5 o'clock. I managed to get home at approximately 5:19 or sometime in that time frame. I promise you, the sky was dark. I parked my car. I walked up to my door, entered, and as soon as I entered, the storm let loose. Well, I had no idea that that storm that let loose was as powerful as it was. I found out later how bad it was. And guys, that was last Saturday, and we still have power outages that are still lingering for thousands of people. Just a few days, after the storm. Fortunately, on yesterday, the Memphis City Schools, Shelby County school system, the students went back to class. But you know what, guys? There are still some problems out there. I want to show you this map if it will come up. My camera is acting up. Okay. This is the map of the current power outages as of today. There are still a number of outages, and that's unacceptable. If you can see where you live in that map area, do you have an outage? Let me know. Let me know what you experienced. Let me know what happened to you on that fated day. Lynn, thank you for joining us. Cindy, I made it. I did. And I thank you for joining me too. And Cindy, I became ill last Friday, and I'm finally seeing the light as of today. My throat is not hurting as badly as it was, but thank you for your friendship. Thank you for your prayers. Anyway, moving on, Lynn, I do appreciate you joining us and all of the other people that are out there that are watching, and yet you are not liking the show or making emojis or making comments. That's okay. I value you because if you are watching my show, that tells me that you are open minded. Okay, just look at my show notes. Check me out via email at charlotte@charlottebergman.com, Facebook at Charlotte Bergman. Um, Facebook, my fan page, I mean, my personal page, Charlotte.Bergman.9. BitChute, I've got to change that. Political Talk of Charlotte. Twitter, at Elect Bergman. YouTube, Charlotte Bergman, at Charlotte Bergman. Twitch, I don't think we're airing on Twitch anymore, which that was kind of a liberal channel, but that's okay. If you're new to this channel, leave a comment and or subscribe to my channel on YouTube and Rumble. And you're already currently, most of you are on Facebook, and you're my friends, and I do value you. Now, as promised, I was going to talk about Dolly Parton. She's an interesting lady. She is a Tennessean. She was a Tennessean. So before we get started talking about her, just sit back, enjoy your popcorn. And if you like Kool-Aid like me, get your Kool-Aid and enjoy the show. Some things about Dolly. In 1988, were you aware? I mean, she made a huge contribution in the state of Tennessee. In 1988, she pulled every seventh and eighth grader in Sevier County into a room and told them, "Now you pick a buddy." And she made them sign a contract. Says, if both of you graduate, she's going to hand each of you $500. Now, if one fails, nobody's going to get paid. And that reminds me of my uncle, the very famous promise he made me. If I graduated, I would get a car. Well, it ended up being to my advantage. I didn't get a car, but I did graduate it. I did graduate, which encouraged me to go further in my career, my education. At the time, the county dropout rate went from 35% to only 6%. That was in Sevier County. She handed out the checks herself to the students. And in 1989, she offered $500 to every kid in the county who wanted to go to the local college. When Gatlinburg burned in 2016, she sent 900 families $1,000 a month for 6 months. That's pretty good. You've probably heard about that part, but here's the part you hadn't heard about. More about Dolly. The fund raised more than was expected, so she showed up in May of that year and handed every one of those families another $5,000 on top of what she'd already promised them. Then she quietly put $3 million into the recovery group that handles the years after the new trucks left. She built her county an entire hospital. She played a benefit concert in 2007. Dollywood and the Stampede matched it. And Laconia Medical Center opened in 2010 with a birthing unit and a woman's center in it, or a women's center. We're having problems now with hospitals in the counties, and we need more dollies to invest private money to get those hospitals built. In 2022, she started covering 100% of tuition, books, and fees for Dollywood employees. She really put a lot of her money where her mouth was in terms of the people in her community and them getting a good education. My camera doesn't want to stay in place. In 1991, she paid for a bald eagle sanctuary because the birds couldn't be released back into the wild. But she didn't have a press release about it. So she wanted to do that anonymously and not bring a lot of attention to it. And when Hurricane Helene came through in Western North Carolina, she wrote a personal check for $1 million and had companies to match that check. She didn't owe North Carolina anything, but she helped anyway. She started the Imagination Library because her daddy couldn't read or write. Before he passed, he told her it was the most important thing she could ever do to help. So I say, rest in peace, Dolly. And I say, in Shelby County, get the lights back on for those dear people who are suffering. Now, That was a good thing about Dolly. But there are some other things that I wanted to discuss in my show today about Dolly. I start out by showing you this video. Okay, yes. I want you to watch this video of Dolly Parton. Dolly Parton, if you didn't know it, she was instrumental in helping Madura. Yes, the Madura, the ones who actually encouraged the COVID vaccine distribution. So watch this video.
Well, hey, it's me. I'm finally going to get my vaccine. I'm so excited. I've been waiting a while. I'm old enough to get it, and I'm smart enough to get it. So I'm very happy that I'm going to get my Moderna shot today. And I wanted to tell everybody, I think you should get out there and do it too. I even changed one of my songs to fit the occasion. It goes, vaccine, 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 vaccine. I'm begging of you, please don't hesitate. Vaccine, 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 vaccine. 'Cause once you're dead, then that's a bit too late. Here I go. Think you got it?
I got it.
Okay.
Look at that
That didn't
mask,
hurt. It
guys.
stung a little bit, but that was from the alcohol pad, I think.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Let me
All
just-
right.
Should we put a...
Band-Aid, no. Mess up my beauty mark.
Okay.
I'm joking. You do what you gotta do. I don't want blood on my clothes. Hey, I did it. I did it.
Okay, I bring that up because with all of the good things she did, she was there supporting the mRNA vaccines. She did that. And I want you guys to know before I go into this, I am not a doctor. I don't play a doctor on television. But I do want to bring this up because I think it's imperative that we understand. And I want you to know the information provided in this podcast is for educational purposes only, and it is not intended as medical advice. Always consult a qualified healthcare provider before making your decisions. Notice Dolly got her vaccine, had her mask on, and to me, that was a dark period in our lives. And if that was all to it, I wouldn't be discussing this. But we are having a resurgency. We're having a resurgency, and we're having people that are going to come out and encourage us to get the vaccine again. And I want you guys to know that is nothing to play around with. I have a relative who only took one dose. And he said, well, I came home and I vomited it out. What he doesn't understand is there is no controlling where what parts of the body is affected by the vaccine. So you may ask yourself, well, why is Charlotte talking about this? Dolly died of cancer. She died of cancer. It's one of the things that happen when one is taking or has taken the mNRA vaccine. I'm bringing this up because they're starting it again, guys. If you notice, when they discussed that Dolly had died, they said she died of a brief illness, a brief bout with cancer. But, guys, there is evidence out there to show this lady had been ill for quite some time. And let me read this to you. She had to cancel shows. She had to ignore her own body and the pain in her body because she was taking care of her husband. Dolly Parton canceled her upcoming Las Vegas residency due to health issues. The residency was originally scheduled for September 2026 at Caesar's Palace and had already been postponed from December 2025. So she'd been ill even back then. And granted, there are some people who have symptoms from the mNRA injections immediately. There are people who are rich enough to get treatment. Here are some of her health issues. She had kidney stones. Parton, Dolly Parton had been struggling with kidney stones, which have contributed to her health challenges, overall health. She mentioned that her immune and digestive systems had been out of whack in recent years. This didn't happen recently. Parton said that one of the medical problems she was facing were issues she had ignored while caring for her husband, Carl Dean, who died in March of 2025. The first major sign that Dolly Parton's health was beginning to affect her professional schedule came in September 2025, according to the reports. Less than 2 weeks later, Dolly Parton announced she was postponing all 6 concerts that she had scheduled for her planned Dolly Live in Las Vegas engagement at the Coliseum at Caesar's Palace. And those shows had been canceled from December the 4th through the 13th of 2025. All of this information comes about from USA Today, September 24th, 2026. Okay, the COVID-19 pandemic. I was shocked when I finally got around to listening to the news again because after the campaign, I stopped listening to the news. I was shocked when I heard that they're ramping it up. It's on its way back. And I'm only doing this show because there are some gullible people who are going to believe that there is a resurgency of COVID-19 and they're going to go back to the mask. I actually have a member in my church, and I've been there for several years, and he's always worn a mask. Always. I don't know if he has autoimmune deficiencies or not, but he's been wearing a mask constantly. And ironically, he's wearing the mask, but it doesn't cover his nose. Do you all remember when you would go in public when in 2021, 2020, 2022, when if you had on the mask, they said, cover your nose, cover your nose. You'd be on an airplane, cover your nose, wear this mask. It was an attempt to control our lives, and they want to get back to it. The reason is because the midterm election is coming up. The midterm election is coming up, guys. Yep. So they're going to bring out stuff that they brought out before. I want to show you this map. They're getting ready to ramp it up. Let me see if I can if I can show you this map that I'm looking at. There is a map and it's going to become very popular. Look at this map and tell me what you think. Can you see this map? I don't know if you can see this map or not. Maybe that's a little bit larger, but I'm in Tennessee. They got the map set up where the darkest area is where the COVID pandemic is growing. But even in my area where I live currently, they are saying that it's likely growing. And they're waiting for the school children to get in school to really make it seem like there is a huge outbreak of it. There are, I don't see any areas on this map where it's not been affected. So you guys watch out. Now, let me tell you a little bit. I'm going to let the speakers tell you a little bit more about Maduro. Sorry about this, guys. I am having to find some of my screens, and I thank you for your patience with me as I'm doing this. I want you to see this because it's really something that it's about to make a return. Listen to
the first
this
time
testimony.
I climbed a staircase without stopping to cough after 18 years of
Please
smoking,
bear
I
with
was
me for
completely
this
shocked.
ad. Skip the ad. And let's let this roll.
Moderna has a patent on the use of RNA for vaccines. It happens to be patent number 2019-024-0317A1. And in that, Moderna explicitly acknowledges that that RNA is superior to DNA for vaccine purposes because problems, including the possibility of insertional immunogenesis, which could lead to the activation of oncogenes or the inhibition of tumor suppressor genes. Okay, so FDA says they're not aware of any concerns, but Moderna, in its own patent, lays out exactly the same concerns that exist about DNA and insertional immunogenesis and genotoxicity. Okay, so Moderna knows it.
Was the DNA a contaminant?
It is a contaminant. It is left in because the way they make it in process 2 is they purify circular DNA from bacteria. They make the RNA. RNA makes DNA. DNA makes RNA. RNA makes protein. Okay, so they use DNA to make the RNA, and then they degrade the DNA, and then they have to purify the degraded DNA away from the RNA. And the process that they're using is apparently not very good. And so they still, and this was just revealed. It was just detected because some scientists, both in the US and in Canada, managed to get their hands on some unopened vials with clear chain of custody, sample those vials, and these are people who their business is to do deep sequencing on samples and rebuild information about whatever DNA they find on that. So they were just doing the technology that they know how to do in their business, that they're experts in, and they found, lo and behold, that there were these large numbers of DNA fragments in this RNA preparation, and they could apply standard tools that they have to reconstruct what those circular plasmid DNAs look like. Okay? None of this was disclosed to the public. And it appears that the documentation is that there are certain sequences present that are normally not allowed in anything that's going to go into humans, not the least of which is an antibiotic resistance gene. Okay? So this is going, these are going into our bodies, including an antibiotic resistance gene for kanamycin or neomycin. Normally, you're not allowed to do that if it's a DNA engineered for human use. Okay? And they include these sequences from simian virus 40, not the whole virus, but highly active promoter sequences, which is exactly the thing that the FDA in their older regulations said must be avoided because it confers even more risk for insertional mutagenesis. And what appears is that Pfizer, when they provided these documents to the FDA and to the EMA and to Health Canada, they took these standard plasmid maps that are generated through programs that we all have access to, and they deleted the little notation that said there's SV40 sequences in there. And the FDA, apparently out of, I can only think, incompetence, didn't take the raw DNA sequences, reconstruct those plasmid maps, and look at them themselves. They just took for granted what Pfizer had given them. And now this has all come out because of these researchers that did functionally something akin to the lot release testing that is not happening.
So there was probably somebody at Pfizer who knew what they were doing.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, guys. Kevin says he doesn't give a rat's rear about this, and I don't either. The only problem is we don't live in this world by ourselves. There are other people who are not happy about the fact that we can think for themselves, and they're going to try to encourage you to get with the program, to probably, with the midterm coming up sooner than we wanted to, they're going to try to encourage people, and they're starting now, to remind people they got to be careful. They got to get the shots, and they got to wear the mask. I hope people are smart this time, and I hope people will not give in to the fear mongering. But the midterms is coming up. Stay on top of it, guys. If you see someone with a mask on, that's their right to do that. But does that mean that that's something you should be forced to do? I asked that question, and I just hope that we do not have an outbreak, an epidemic like we had before, just in time for the midterm. So do what you feel is best for you. Think wisely, think smart, do your own research. My show is just to bring you information. But I don't believe that there was such an emphasis on the fact that Dolly had cancer during a brief time frame. I don't believe that. I do believe that Dolly's timing and her demise was probably not good for what they wanted to do, to state that we need to go back into our mask and we needed to get the shots again. So take this show for whatever you want. I thought it was rather interesting. I hope I brought out some facts that you would deem are important, but be yourself, be an individual. If somebody tells you you need to wear a mask, you be yourself and do what's best for you. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to talking with you guys again real soon. God bless you. Bye-bye.